Today I'm going to talk about the 5 best books that I've read from April to June. Let's get into it. If you want to see the best books that I read at the beginning of the year, so from January to March, that's kind of part 1 to this video. I'll link that down below in the description for you to check out if you're interested. And in the meantime, here are the 5 best books that I've read since then, so kind of the second quarter of the year, and then it'll be kind of a half-year wrap-up sort of thing. But anyway, this will be 5 books I'm going to highlight. Not all of them are science fiction. I've got a couple that are kind of horror, maybe a little bit of the thriller, speculative fiction type of angle. And this is a mix of books from varying years of publishing. So this is not just books from 2026, although there are a couple books in this list from 2026. So I'm going to talk about those. So if you're looking for a video that talks about just books released in 2026 that are the best, that's not what this video is. It's just the books that I have read in the year of 2026 and that I've enjoyed. So with that said, let's get into book 1. And it is going to be a science fiction novel. This one was published in the 90s, early 90s. It won the Nebula Award. And the book is Michael Swanwick's Stations of the Tide. So this one I did as a buddy read. And if you're interested in seeing kind of an in-depth discussion, half the video is non-spoilers, second half is spoilers. But a very interesting book. We had a really great discussion. I'll link that down below in the description if you want to hear more about this book. But kind of as a brief synopsis, this is a science fiction book. It's a very kind of a strange, surreal, kind of unreliable narrator type of story. If you're a fan of Gene Wolfe, the 5th head of Cerberus, you would like this. And in fact, the main character of this is just named the Bureaucrat. He has no other name than that. And Michael Swanwick has stated that he based the Bureaucrat on Gene Wolfe himself. So if you're a fan of Gene Wolfe, you'll see a lot of references to his work in this book. And what this book is about is, so this character, the Bureaucrat, comes from kind of this galactic governing body. And they're on this planet that they've restricted the technology of this planet. So at a certain point where technology gets advanced enough, this kind of governing body comes in and I guess kind of stops it from advancing further if that planet has shown itself to be problematic. So in this one, there's a particular character called Gregorian, and he's described as kind of a wizard, and it has been assumed that he has stolen a piece of highly advanced and restricted technology, and he's hiding out on this planet. He's sending out these television ads. Interestingly enough, television is a big part of this story, although it doesn't feel dated in any way. And this character has these television ads, and he's telling people that he can shapeshift them from a human land-based form to an aquatic-based form, because what's happening on this planet is that every couple hundred years these massive tides come in and they wash away and cover up all the land, called the Jubilee tides, and that date is coming near. So the planet's kind of preparing for these giant tides to come in and cover and water, ocean will cover the land. This man is promising that he can shapeshift people into a more aquatic form. And the Bureaucrat's job, he's kind of been sent to this planet to investigate this issue, track down Gregorian, and convince him to return the stolen technology. And what occurs from there is this very kind of strange kind of investigation of the Bureaucrat chasing after, trying to find the Gregorian. Along the way, he encounters all kinds of strange people, and strange events happen to him. Some are kind of hallucinatory. There's a lot of illusion, sleight of hand type of thing in this book. So there's a lot of puzzles going on in this, and it's not always apparent what's going on. So if you like a challenging book in the vein of Gene Wolfe, I think you're going to enjoy this one. And I really enjoyed it as well. So it did make my list of the last 3 months one of the best books I read this year. And so book number 2, we're going to be going into a little bit of a horror. Well, this is just a straight up horror book. And so this one is called Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. It's a fairly recent release, not a 2026 release. I think it's a couple of years ago. And this is a book very much inspired by Rosemary's Baby. So if you like Rosemary's Baby, you're probably going to enjoy this one quite a bit. This couple moves to a new apartment in I believe it's in New York City, but they move into this apartment that's very it has this kind of reputation as being a little bit haunted, a little bit strange. It's got this gothic feel to it and look to it. And this couple, they're actually given a free apartment, and they've just recently had a baby. So they move into this apartment, and of course, strange things start to happen. I don't want to give too much away, but it kind of has a vampire-like feel. I won't say the creatures are vampires exactly, but kind of a similar type of... there's some creatures living here, some people that kind of are responsible for managing the hotel, and the other guests that are staying at the hotel are very kind of mysterious, kind of a foreboding feeling going on, and I really enjoyed this one. It was fast paced. Had a good plot. I liked the characters. I did feel like it was a little bit derivative, of course, of Rosemary's Baby, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was still a really good story, and it was the first book I read by Nat Cassidy, so I did pick up some more books by him, and actually I was able to see this guy in person recently and got this one signed. So it is a recommended read for me if you like horror. And has kind of once you get near the end, has some really interesting, kind of an interesting thing that happens that I thought was kind of unique to the, the type of books that are inspired by Rosemary's Baby, or like changeling type books, and anything dealing with babies and if they're possessed or haunted. It's kind of one of those tropes of books, but it does have a very interesting thing that happens near the end that I think may be kind of shocking to some people. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I would recommend this one, and it made, of course, my list of best books of the year. So after that one, we're going to get straight into another one, and this is kind of a horror. It's not science fiction, it's got some speculative fiction elements, maybe some thriller elements, and this is Joe Hill's Strange Weather. And this book, I think I also have this one signed. Yep, he signed this one for my birthday, so thank you, Joe. How nice. Anyway, so this is a collection of 4 novellas, or 4 short novels, and overall it's a really, really great collection. I enjoyed all 4 of the stories in here. The first one is about this young boy who picks up this he finds a man that has this strange Polaroid camera, and the first one is called Snapshot. So every story does kind of have an illustrated, at least the first page, the title page for each story is illustrated. So, and what happens is this Polaroid, when it takes a picture of someone, the image that comes out is not what was taken, not what the picture was taken of, but a stolen memory. So it's a camera that steals people's memories. So we kind of have this villain who comes and takes people's pictures and steals their memories. And so every story also has kind of an element of strange weather, hence the title. And this one's not really about weather, but it does have some scenes where there's some heavy rain falling and kind of that kind of thing, and some other kind of spooky stuff happening. This one was, I would call this very much a horror story. I really enjoyed the first one. And then the second story here is called Loaded. And this one wasn't so much of a horror. It was kind of Joe Hill's take on gun culture in America. It was a really good story. Actually, I think this one might have been my favorite story from the whole collection. I'd probably even give this specific story 5 out of 5 stars. Just a really interesting. It's got several different point of views, each dealing with how different people deal with guns and how they react to them, how do they respond to them, are they responsible with them, and it has this kind of all these characters in the story kind of come together at the end, and this big event happens, and it's a really fantastic story. Not straight up horror, just I'd kind of describe it more as a thriller, but really, really good story. Definitely recommended. And so the third story here is called Aloft. And this one is probably one of the strangest, or not even strangest, but one of the most interesting stories I've ever read, period. And this one is it's kind of a horror, kind of a thriller. So what happens in this one is this man who is afraid of heights is kind of convinced or persuaded into going on a skydiving adventures. So he's jumping out of this airplane to parachute down, and he lands on a cloud. He doesn't float through the cloud. He actually lands on a cloud, and he's able to walk around on it, and some very strange things happen on it. He kind of gets stranded on this very unique cloud, and he learns a few things about it. As he's there, he has to, of course, he's stranded there for several days actually, so he has to eat and drink, and because if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't get water, he'll die. But the cloud kind of provides some things for him like this. I don't want to give too much away in this story because it was just so fascinating, but this one was a great story. Maybe close to a 5 out of 5, maybe 4.5 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. One of the most interesting things I've ever read, and it's definitely going to be a recommended story as well. And then the final story is called Rain, and this one had probably is the most relevant to the strange weather title, although of course a cloud, the aloft, being on a cloud is related to weather. The loaded story is probably the least relevant to strange weather, although it did have some like heavy rain downpours in it. So every element has a little bit of a weather aspect to it. But this final one, Rain, is about a thunderstorm comes through this town or the areas in this state, and it rains these needle-like crystals. And so basically what happens is it rains and a bunch of people are killed because they get impaled by these crystals. And it was a really interesting story, but probably my least favorite of the collection. 3 out of 5. And it's about this girl who survives the first downpour, and her town kind of becomes kind of a post-apocalyptic area, and she kind of takes this journey to find. I think she was trying to find her family, trying to get to where her family was, and track them down. But she has to like walk through the town and stuff. All the vehicles are pretty much inoperable, or they're not quite destroyed, but they're inoperable. There are more downpours of this crystal-like structure coming from the rain, and there are like medical stations set up at like a football field because all these people are getting impaled, and anytime there's a storm clouds in the sky, they got to find shelter. So it was a very interesting story. Just wasn't my favorite out of it, but I still enjoyed it, and I still would recommend it. And yeah, it was the most relevant to the strange weather. And anyway, overall, these 4 stories together, really fantastic. Joe Hill, of course, he's more known for his straight up horror. This one's kind of got a mix of horror, mix of thriller elements, and some speculative elements. But yeah, overall recommended read, and it makes my list of best books of the year. And then the next book we're going to talk about here is one by Ray Naylor, who, of course, is a sci-fi author of books like The Mountain and the Sea, and one of my favorite novellas ever, Tusks of Extinction. And this is a 2026 release, so this is a new book, just came out within the last couple of months. And it is Ray Naylor's Palaces of the Crow. And this one is yet another one that I was able to get signed. So I pre-ordered this one from a bookstore in Washington, D.C., where Ray Naylor lives. So he went and signed the books before they shipped them out. So that was nice to get. But this one is not quite science fiction. I wouldn't categorize this as science fiction, although Ray is, of course, a science fiction author. This is very much a historical fiction novel with speculative elements in it. So it is about these 4 kind of young adults that live on the Eastern Front of World War II. So it's kind of a historical fiction about World War II. And these 4 young adults, these 4 teenagers, are living in this forest. And they have to survive the whole time. They kind of have to hide out in the woods. They have to hide from soldiers from both sides, the Nazis, the Red Army. And they have to hide from other people who are trying to survive, and they have to scavenge for food. They hunt for food. They kind of hide out in this little structure, underneath the trees. And it's very there's a lot of brutal things happening in this book, which, of course, World War II was not a good time to be around, and they're right very close to the front. So yeah, most of this book is about these 4 kids surviving and just trying to cope with this just terrible calamity that's going on all around them. And the speculative element comes in is one of the characters befriends a group of intelligent crows. So these crows are able to play games, they're able to solve puzzles, they bring her gifts, and they also kind of alert these kids to danger that may be headed their way. So these are not your ordinary crows. They're very intelligent crows. They have this incredible aptitude for solving problems. And as the story goes on, we learn more and more about these crows, and they're really gets to be an interesting element of this book. And of course, Ray's always kind of added an element of animals in his book. He's like the octopus in the mountain and the sea, the mammoth, the elephant in Tusk's of Extinction, and now we have the crow in Palaces of the Crow. So, but the main plot of this book is on the four kids surviving World War II, and then the crows are just kind of an added element, and does have more of an important role in the I would say like the last quarter, last third of the book. But a really interesting book. I really enjoyed it. Ray Naylor is a fantastic writer. His prose is amazing. His ideas are fantastic. He writes good characters, and every book he writes continues to be really, really amazing. And I would recommend this one. And of course, it makes my list of best books of the year. So the fifth and final book of this video, I think, is actually probably going to be my favorite of the last 3 months. I think the previous four I would rank kind of all the same. Maybe Palaces of the Crow a little bit higher, maybe Stations of the Tide. Well, I'd probably rank all four of those very close to the same, but this one edges them out just a little bit. And this is also a 2026 release, so it's a new book. And this one is The Republic of Memory by Mahmoud El-Sayed. And this book is described as Arab futurism. And so there's not a whole lot of books out there, at least in science fiction, that are centered around Arabic. It's centered around Arabic cultures and characters, religion, and things like that. And this book is set on a generation ship. So we have this situation where it's been this ship has been traveling for 200 years, and there is a crew on it. It's kind of separated between the crew and admin. The crew, of course, takes care of the ship. The admin makes the rules. And they are kind of escaping an Earth situation where there was this network empire, it was called, and the Earth was run by an AI entity or multiple entities, along with what they called the Sultan. So it was kind of a fascist, authoritarian Earth they were leaving. And very soon after this ship left Earth, the crew actually overturned kind of the ruling body in charge of the ship, and they turned off the AI. They disabled the network empire part. So they kind of freed themselves from this this governing structure on Earth, and they set up their new governing system. They called it the Compact, and it's this kind of agreement between the crew and the Earth, or it's kind of an agreement between the crew and admin about how things are run on this ship. And they separated the ship into these zones that are based upon what language a person knows. So rather than basing it on race or religion or location, a person's language kind of determines what zone they live in. So if a person wanted to migrate to a new zone, they would simply, well, I don't know how simply it is, but they would learn a new language. And after that new language was learned, then they could, migrate over to a different zone. So it kind of adds a little bit more freedom of movement for the crew. And what's happening is, in this book, is so they're in 200 years into the journey. Admin kind of bureaucracy has, of course, gotten a little overbearing, a little complicated, and parts of the crew are looking for a change again. They're getting a little tired of how admin runs things, and they also have to take care of. So there's So there's a number of people already living on the ship, but they have to take care of some cryogenically frozen bodies they call the ancestors. These are people who were first put on the ship, and they're experts in whatever field they are. They're very knowledgeable, and the idea is when they get to their destination, they wake these people up and they'll have the knowledge and ability to start a new colony. So the crew has to kind of take care of these ancestors. And there are also crew aboard who, they're kind of getting tired of taking care of these people. And they're not sure that, these ancestors are going to agree with the way they want the government to run these days. Because they're kind of people from the old government, the network empire type of people who are supportive of that. So there are these a lot of concerning issues coming into play, and the crew is showing some discontent. So, and that's kind of what the story is about. It's very political. There are all kinds of different factions involved. They have different motivations. So if you like political sci-fi, you're really going to enjoy this. It doesn't get into the hard science of a generation ship, of the science and the details of the space journey. So it's not that kind of book. It is very much a book about the political situation on a generation ship. So if you like that kind of thing, you're going to enjoy this one. I really enjoyed the characters in it. The second half, we get a detective character that has kind of an investigation going on. So that was really interesting. And it's the first book in a duology. So the second book comes out, I believe, summer of 2027. So we don't get the full story here, but what we get is really interesting. I really enjoyed it. It's quick paced. It's got a good plot. It's got good characters. And so far, at least over the last 3 months, it is going to get to the top of my list of the best books out of these that I've talked about. So definitely a recommended read. If you haven't checked out The Republic of Memory and you like political sci-fi, go ahead and pick this one up. All right, so that's all I have for you today. My 5 best books of the last 3 months. If you're interested to see what books that I liked the first 3 months of the year, January through March, go ahead and check out that video down below in the description. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite book that you've read so far this year? Have you read any of the books that I mentioned here? Let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.